My name is Evelyn Harper. I was 70 years old when my world changed in one single moment. It was my son Daniel's birthday. His house was full of laughter, music, and the smell of fresh food. I stood in the living room holding a small chocolate cake I baked myself. Everything felt normal until I saw my granddaughter. Sophie sat alone in the corner. She was very quiet. Too quiet for a child her age. A pink cap covered her head, pulled down low. When she looked up at me, my heart dropped. Her eyes were filled with tears she was trying hard to hide. Something was wrong. Before we go further, if you enjoy emotional, real-life stories like this, take a second to like and subscribe. It helps more than you think. I walked towards Sophie slowly, already afraid of what I might find. I knelt in front of Sophie and gently touched her shoulder. "Sweetheart," I whispered, "are you okay?" She didn't answer. Her hands were shaking. I slowly lifted the pink cap from her head, and then I froze. Her hair was gone. Not trimmed, not cut short, completely shaved. Her scalp looked uneven, with small red marks and tiny cuts. It was not done with care. It was rushed, rough, painful. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. From behind me, I heard a voice. "Well, do you like it?" It was Amanda, my son's wife. She stood there holding a glass of wine, smiling like nothing was wrong. "It's a new style," she added lightly. "Kids these days love it." I could not believe what I was hearing. I looked back at Sophie. She was holding onto my dress like she was scared I would disappear. I had spent most of my life as a seamstress in a small town called Pine Grove. My hands had fixed torn clothes and created beautiful dresses. I raised my son Daniel with those same careful hands. And when Sophie was born, I thought my life had been given a second chance at joy. We were very close. I used to brush her long brown hair every morning. We would braid it together and laugh when she made silly faces in the mirror. But things changed after Daniel married Amanda. Family visits became tense. Sophie became quieter. Amanda always seemed annoyed. That night, standing in that living room, I realized all those small signs were leading to this moment. Amanda walked closer. "It's just hair," she said. "It grows back." But I could see Sophie's trembling lips. This was not about hair. "She's 6 years old," I said, my voice shaking. Amanda rolled her eyes. "She refused to let me comb it," she said. "Always crying, always complaining. So I fixed it." "Fixed it," I repeated. "Yes. Now there's nothing to complain about." I felt anger rise inside me. "That is not fixing," I said. "That is hurting a child." Amanda laughed. "Oh, please, Evelyn. You're overreacting." I looked around the room, hoping Daniel would say something. He stood in the kitchen, pouring drinks. "Daniel," I called. He looked up, already looking tired. "What is it, Mom?" I pointed at Sophie. "Did you see what happened to your daughter?" He sighed. "It's just hair, Mom." My heart broke. "Just hair," I said. "She made it easier," Daniel replied. "Sophie always fights her." I stepped closer. "Did you hear her cry?" I asked. He avoided my eyes. "Kids cry all the time." I could not believe this was my son. The boy I raised would never have accepted this. Sophie squeezed my hand tighter. I bent down to her level. "Come with me," I whispered. I led her to the bathroom and closed the door. We were finally alone. I looked into her eyes. "Tell me the truth," I said gently. Her lips trembled. "Mommy was angry," she whispered. My heart sank. "She woke me up," Sophie said softly. "She said I was dirty. I told her I washed, but she didn't listen." Tears filled her eyes. "She used Daddy's shaving machine." My chest tightened. "She told me not to move," Sophie continued. "She said if I did, she would hurt me." I felt tears burn my own eyes. "When I cried," Sophie added, "she said ugly girls cry too much." I closed my eyes for a moment. "And she said if I told anyone," Sophie whispered, "she would cut my eyelashes next." That was it. That was the moment I knew I could not leave her there. Not for one more minute. I held her hand tightly. "You're safe with me," I said. And I meant every word. We walked back into the living room. The noise of the party filled the air again. Without saying a word, I removed Sophie's cap. Gasps filled the room. My sister, Carol, covered her mouth. "Oh my goodness," she whispered. Amanda crossed her arms. "I already explained," she said. "It was necessary." "Necessary?" I snapped. "I washed her hair 3 days ago. It was clean." A family friend, Mr. Benson, stepped forward. "That's not discipline," he said. "That's cruelty." Amanda laughed again. "You're all dramatic." I looked down at Sophie. She was shaking. That was all I needed to see. "We're leaving," I said firmly. Amanda stepped in front of the door. "She's not going anywhere," she said. "It's Daniel's birthday. Don't ruin it." "This is not about a party," I replied. "This is about protecting her." Daniel walked forward. "Mom, stop making a scene," he said. "It's just hair." I looked straight at him. "No," I said. "What's wrong is pretending this is normal." I picked Sophie up. She wrapped her arms around my neck. I walked past them and out the door. No one stopped me. The night air felt cold, but Sophie held me tight. She didn't say a word during the drive. Tears rolled down her cheeks silently. And I knew this was only the beginning. When we got to my house, I took Sophie straight inside. She sat quietly on the bed. She looked so small. I ran a warm bath and added gentle soap. Carefully, I cleaned her scalp. She flinched but stayed quiet. I applied cream to the small cuts. "You're very brave," I told her. She didn't smile. After that, I gave her one of my soft shirts to wear. I tucked her into bed. That night, she woke up 3 times. Each time, she screamed, "No, Mommy, please." Each time, I held her close. "You're safe," I whispered. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Later that night, my phone rang. It was Daniel. "You need to bring Sophie back," Daniel said. "No," I replied. "You can't take her," he said. "Amanda is calling the police." "Let her," I said calmly. "I will explain everything." There was silence. "You're overreacting," he said again. "Your daughter is scared of her own mother," I replied. "You stood there and did nothing." He didn't answer. I hung up. The next morning, I called someone I trusted. A lawyer named Victor Hale. He arrived quickly. At the same time, Daniel and Amanda showed up at my door. Amanda looked furious. "You kidnapped my child," she said. Victor raised an eyebrow. "Let's hear the full story first," he said. I brought Sophie forward. Victor saw her head. His face changed immediately. Victor knelt down. "Are you okay?" he asked Sophie. She looked at him quietly. "I'm scared," she said. That was enough. Victor stood up. "This is serious," he said. "This is not normal parenting." Amanda crossed her arms. "She's lying," she said. But no one believed her. The next few days were quiet. I focused on Sophie. I turned my small office into a room. We painted it light yellow. She chose flower bedsheets. We started new routines. Breakfast together. Small walks. Drawing time. Slowly, I saw small changes. She smiled a little more. She laughed once when a bird flew too close. It gave me hope. But I knew we were not done yet. Every evening, I sat with Sophie. I gently rubbed oil on her scalp. I called it magic oil. "It will help your hair grow strong," I told her. She listened carefully. I told her stories of brave girls who stayed strong. She started to believe them. A week later, I took her to see a child therapist, Dr. Olivia Reed. The room was bright and full of toys. Sophie picked up a doll. Then she picked scissors. She began cutting the doll's hair. "What's happening?" Dr. Reed asked gently. "She is being punished," Sophie said. My heart broke again. "And how does she feel?" the doctor asked. "Ugly," Sophie whispered. After the session, Dr. Reed spoke to me. "She is traumatized," she said. "But she can heal." A few days later, my sister Carol called. She had news about Amanda. Amanda grew up in a harsh home, she said. Her parents punished her often, even cutting hair as punishment. I stood in silence. It explained a lot, but it did not excuse anything. Sophie was still a victim. Carol sighed. "Amanda has anger problems," she said. She never got help. I looked at Sophie playing quietly. "This ends with me," I said. "No more cycles." 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. It was from Daniel and Amanda. They wanted Sophie back. They said Amanda was now in therapy, on medication, trying to change. But I remembered Sophie's fear, and I knew one thing. I would not risk her safety. I called Victor immediately. "The court will decide," he said. "There will be a hearing." 2 weeks. That was all the time we had. That night, I watched Sophie sleep. Her breathing was soft, peaceful, something she hadn't had in a while. "I will protect you," I whispered. The next day, Daniel came alone. He looked tired. "I failed," he said. "I didn't protect her." I stayed quiet. "I thought ignoring Amanda would help," he said. "I was wrong." I looked at him. "Do you trust her now?" I asked. He hesitated. "I don't know." "Then choose your daughter," I said. He nodded slowly, but I could see the struggle in his eyes. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom felt cold and quiet. I held Sophie's hand tightly. She wore a simple blue dress. Her small curls had started to grow back. Across the room, Amanda sat stiffly. Daniel looked lost. The lawyers spoke. Amanda's side talked about therapy and change. Victor spoke about trauma and fear. Then Dr. Reed spoke. "Sophie is afraid," she said. "She is not ready to return." Then Sophie was called forward. She sat in a small chair. "Where do you feel safe?" the judge asked. Sophie looked at me. Then she spoke softly. "With Grandma." If this moment is touching you, take a second to like and drop a comment. Stories like this matter. The courtroom became very quiet after Sophie spoke. The judge leaned forward slightly, studying her with careful eyes. "Why do you feel safer with your grandmother?" he asked gently. Sophie looked down at her hands for a moment. Then she spoke again, her voice small but clear. "Because I'm not scared there," she said. My chest tightened. "And what makes you scared at home?" the judge continued. Sophie hesitated. She glanced at Amanda, then quickly looked away. "Mommy gets angry," she whispered. Amanda shifted in her seat. "I don't want to be punished again," Sophie added. Daniel lowered his head. I could feel every word hitting him. The judge nodded slowly, writing something down. In that moment, I realized something powerful. This was no longer just my fight. Sophie had found her voice. The judge asked a few more gentle questions, but Sophie had already said the most important thing. When she was done, she looked at me, her eyes searching. I gave her a small, reassuring smile. "You did very well," I mouthed silently. She nodded. Then she was guided back to sit beside me. I held her hand. It was still slightly cold, but no longer shaking. The lawyers gave their final statements. Amanda's lawyer spoke about therapy, change, and second chances. Victor spoke about safety, trust, and emotional damage. "Progress on paper," he said firmly, "does not erase fear in a child's heart." The judge listened carefully. Then he leaned back, thinking. The silence stretched longer than I expected. Every second felt heavy. Finally, he spoke. And everything changed again. After reviewing all statements and evaluations, the judge began. "The child's safety must come first." My heart began to race. He continued, calm and clear. "Temporary custody will remain with Mrs. Harper for 6 months. I exhaled slowly. Relief washed over me like a wave. During this period, he added, the parents will have supervised visits twice a week. Amanda's face fell. Daniel closed his eyes. Any further harmful behavior, the judge continued, will result in stricter actions. The decision was final. I pulled Sophie gently onto my lap. She leaned into me. "Does this mean I can stay with you?" she whispered. "Yes," I said softly. "You're safe." If you believe children deserve protection and a safe home, take a moment to like and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more people. The first few days after the hearing felt different. Lighter. Like a heavy cloud had started to move away. Sophie began to relax more. She slept through the night for the first time since she came to me. No nightmares. No sudden screams. Just peaceful rest. In the mornings, she smiled more. We continued our little routines. Breakfast together. Drawing at the table. Short walks in the garden. Her laughter slowly returned. It was soft at first, then brighter, stronger. Her hair began to grow in soft curls. Each time she looked in the mirror, I reminded her, "You are beautiful." And slowly, she started to believe it. Healing was not fast, but it was happening. And that was enough. The supervised visits began the following week. They were held at a small family center. A social worker stayed in the room at all times. The first visit was quiet. Sophie stayed close to me at the beginning. Daniel knelt down in front of her. "I'm sorry," he said softly. His voice broke. "I should have protected you." Sophie looked at him, but didn't respond right away. Amanda sat across the room. She looked different, quieter. She didn't speak much at first. Then slowly she said, "You are beautiful, Sophie." Sophie didn't answer, but she listened. That was something. Trust does not return in one day. It takes time, care, consistency. And even then, it may never be the same again. Weeks passed and small changes continued. Daniel kept showing up. Every visit, every time. He spoke gently. He listened more. I could see he was trying. Amanda also attended therapy regularly. She stopped making excuses. Instead, she admitted her mistakes. That mattered. But I stayed careful. Words are easy. Actions prove truth. Sophie began to speak a little more during visits. Short answers at first. Then small conversations. She even smiled once when Daniel told a funny story. That moment stayed with me. It was a sign, not of full healing, but of movement, step by step. That is how real healing works. Slow, steady, and honest. At home, Sophie grew stronger each day. She started drawing again. Bright colors returned to her pictures. No more dark lines or broken shapes. Just flowers, houses, and smiling faces. One evening, she drew a picture of us. Me and her, holding hands, under a big sun. "Are we happy here?" I asked gently. She nodded. "Yes," she said. That one word meant everything. At night, our routine stayed the same. I applied her magic oil. We talked. We laughed. And before she slept, I always said the same words. "You are safe. You are loved. No one will hurt you." She repeated them once, then twice, until they became part of her. Daniel visited me one evening after a scheduled session. He looked more stable than before, less lost. "I'm learning," he said. I didn't see it before. I thought keeping peace was enough. "It wasn't," I replied calmly. "I know," he said. There was silence for a moment. "I won't make that mistake again," he added. I studied him carefully. I wanted to believe him. But trust, once broken, takes time. "Then prove it," I said. "Through your actions." He nodded. "I will." Before he left, he looked at Sophie playing in the next room. "I want her to feel safe with me again," he said quietly. "That is your responsibility," I replied. "And your chance." Months passed. Slowly, things became more stable. Sophie's laughter returned fully. Her confidence grew. She started school again. She made new friends. And every day, she came home with a story. Her curls grew thicker, healthier, stronger, just like her. The visits with her parents improved. Still supervised. Still careful, but better. Amanda no longer raised her voice. Daniel stayed present. Always watching. Always aware. Change was happening. But I never forgot. Healing does not erase the past. It builds strength around it. And I made sure Sophie always remembered one thing. She had a voice. And she deserved to be heard. Looking back now, I understand something clearly. This story was never about hair. It was about dignity. About safety. About standing up when it is hard. I was 7 years old when I made that choice. And I would make it again. Every single time. Because love is not just gentle. Real love protects. It speaks. It acts. Even when others stay silent. Sophie is stronger now. Happier. Healing every day. And as for me, I have no regrets. Only one truth I hold close. If you see something wrong, do not look away. Speak up. Step in. Protect the ones who cannot protect themselves. If this story moved you, take a moment to like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Your support helps spread messages that truly matter, because real love always protects.